Go one last thing, and I'm just going to kind of try and tie it together, okay? And I would like for this to not be as damp as it was, so that I don't have to dry it off. Let's see. All right, let's try that. Once again, this thing may fall, and we'll all have a good laugh about it. Held on to about 4 viewers, it looks like. But man, I was really surprised. You know, we've stayed over 10 for probably the first hour and stayed steady at a good 8 or 9 for the rest of it. So I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in, those few who are hanging in there with me. And thank you. All the chats have been great. It's been nice to have people to engage with. I'm definitely going to do this again. I don't know when. I am still having to work, since my job is essential, and I'll do it when I can, and ask questions. Let me know about things you want me to clarify on, and yeah, we'll go at it. So we started with this, with X, I, V. Okay, and we broke down all 3 of these, okay? We started with the I, which is where we had activity and nutrition and environment and inner state, okay? And we talked about how this is the stress and adaptation kind of balancing act that goes on there. And then we talked about how our emotions affect our state of being in the sense of putting us into fight or flight and destabilizing our equilibrium in this sense, okay? And how valuable it is to be aware of those different inner states and how all that plays out, okay? And then we came over here and we talked about the physical body, the awareness function, and X, okay? And then the action that happens due to this relationship, okay? And we'll do a little doodad there, and then mirror. It's all clear as mud, right? Okay, so this was self-remembering, okay? And then over here, we have our nice little doodad, the chooser, and our internal conflict. All right? So, we've gone over all these things tonight. You know, I just noticed we got another viewer. If you're just joining in, you missed out on a lot. But I'm going to have this video up, so please go back and watch if you're interested in this, and you can kind of fill in what we're talking about. Just get an overview as I end tonight, okay? So we have self-remembering, which is knowing what you are. It's the idea of an integrated living being, part of X, that this whole thing that is going on. You're an awareness function that evaluates what is true and valuable, and that feeling that is generated communicates to X, and X gives the appropriate response and energy to the physical body, and it produces the action, okay? And that's how we work as an integrated living being. But that gets real complicated over here with our nice frontal lobe with self-reflection and all this stuff, where we can get all worried and distressed and worked up over so many things, okay? And because of that internal conflict, it blocks our awareness function and reduces us to a chooser, where we have to pick, well, what's to blame for this? Because this is what's wrong, and I'm entitled to this, and I need to please this authority, and I have to do this, and I gotta be better, and no, it's your fault, and everything just blocks all this. So you end up sending so many mixed signals and feelings to X that your body and your mind become completely out of whack, okay? And so self-remembering, self-observation, knowing what you are, knowing what you're not, brings you to self-knowing, which is, well, being aware of both, okay? It's in the middle, and this is the balance. It brings balance to this. de-escalating to know what you are and keeping a clear sight on what the personality is doing, observing yourself think, okay, and realizing, oh, it's not actually me thinking. My brain thinks just like my heart beats or my lungs breathe. They do it of their own accord. I don't do it. I don't think that. I didn't want to remember that time in 4th grade when I kicked that kid in the face. Okay? No, that's not actually an anecdote. But, I didn't want to remember that. That just suddenly came. Some association popped that into my head, and now I'm aware of it. Now I've got to deal with that and find out, do I need to feel guilty about that thing that I did way back when? Do I need to feel angry about it? Do I need to do this? And you end up worrying and fretting about it and staying up all night just in this big pit of despair of how you've always been a horrible, despicable person. Okay? This is not you. This is not actually what you are. You're an awareness function. This is the mind thinking all these associations, all of these suggestions all the time. And you as an awareness function fall asleep and buy these things. And you feel the feelings that come along with them. And X takes that and does all manner of crazy stuff with that, with your body and with your mind. Okay? You guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Those of you who have, I think we're ending with 4 or 5 viewers now. And man, y'all been great. Thank you for the chats. And message me if you have any questions about this materials. Like I said, these are not my ideas. These are not my things. I have access to multiple audio, video, and written materials of men who came before me who spoke about these things, as well as other men and women who wrote about these things in newsletters and whatnot. This has been a secret. I've broken a lot of rules in telling you all this, okay? I'm not supposed to be doing this because you're supposed to come into this when you are ready for it. And you know what? That probably means if you watch this tonight and were really, really engaged in this and interested in this, you might be ready for this. And if it's interesting to you, and if you want to check it out, check it out. Ask me. I'll get, we have these different graphics, these different things that we can use, but there's plenty of materials. There are other people who have been students for longer than I have who would be happy to share their experiences with you and be a guide. I'm not a teacher, I'm just a guide. I've been into the wilderness and I've come back. I've gone to the mountaintop and I come back. And I'm just telling you what worked for me and that it checked out for me. And I can show you on the map. I can tell you about some landmarks and some signs, but you got to do the work yourself. Okay? And that's all this is. I love you all. I appreciate you being here, and I hope this was enjoyable, entertaining, and valuable. Peace.